Welcome, everyone. We've
Thank you.
got a special episode here of the Buck Stops here at NotInHallOfFame.com. We're going to try something new. We've had some people come on and give Hall of Fame cases, and I had a gentleman from New York City reach out and says he wants to do the same thing. So, you know me, guys. I just said, okay, let's do this. And I've got Robert Dobek from New York. How you doing?
Jericho, New York. Good. How are you?
From Jericho, New York. Okay, my
Yeah.
apologies. Where is Jericho? I'm not familiar.
Long Island. Long Island. I'm not that far from New York City, so close
Okay.
enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only know going in and out of the airport. So, I mean, it's one big
No
glob
worries.
to me.
No worries.
You're a baseball enthusiast, Yankees fan, I presume?
Yes, Yankee fan, but I am a big fan of baseball history, going as far back as the dead ball era.
Okay. Well, we're going to look at somebody, and I said, who do you want to look at first? And somebody who began his career for my team, Toronto, but a lot of people don't remember that. And why would you? Second
Yeah.
baseman Jeff Kent. And Robert, I'm just going to turn it over to you. You wanted to make a Hall of Fame case for Jeff Kent and tell everyone here why you think he should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
All right, so I'm I consider myself a small room guy when it comes to the Hall of Fame, rather than what it's become, which is like the Hall of the Very Good. But with that being said, looking at Jeff Kent, I feel like he's one of those guys that got a little bit of he got well, considering he played in the steroid era and he got a little overshadowed by his own teammate Barry Bonds. But if you objectively look at Jeff Kent, he's one of the 10 greatest offensive second basemen of all time. Like no second baseman, including Rogers Hornsby, has hit more home runs at hit than Jeff Kent at 377, and he is third all time in RBIs with over 1,500 at second base, which is a premier position. So, long story short, if you look at his year to year numbers, basically after he got to San Francisco, it took a little time for him to establish himself. He moving around from Toronto to New York to Cleveland, where he never really found himself comfortable at a position at second base or on a team. But once he got to San Francisco, and he that's where he now obviously hitting behind Barry Bonds did help him, but he had
Right.
he spent 6 years in San Francisco. All six of them, he drove in 100 or more RBIs in all of them, including his 2000 season where he won the MVP over Bonds. During that time, he was taking steroids.
Okay, yeah, and you brought up a couple things here that I because I'm going to play a touch of a contrarian. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Long story short, obviously, I don't have a Baseball Hall of Fame vote. I probably never will because all the requirements that you have to do, starting by joining the that I
BBWAA.
yeah, I mean, I could, but there's like so many things sort of on my to do list. Might or might not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really overly concerned. I kind of enjoy sort of like talking about the whole process more than maybe
Oh,
actually
yeah, yeah.
participating in it. Saying that, there are a couple things that you brought up. One, obviously, like the power numbers for a second baseman are incredible. Uh, Obviously, on the pro side of the ledger, Kent, as far as we know, and based on what my eye test shows me, he was not a PED user. Sure didn't look like one, but he was also the beneficiary of where he batted in the lineup. Do you think that and also sort of he was not exactly the most media friendly individual? Because again, as I've said from day one in starting the site, one thing that you can't escape on halls of fame is that it's people voting on people, and in many cases it's people that they've met.
So I'll start with the media thing. I mean, the Hall of Fame, like, let's look at the cast of characters that are in the Hall of Fame, like Ty Cobb and Cap Ants. And it's not, you don't, since when do you have to be a choir boy to get in? And I mean, listen, was he a bit of a narcissist and had his issues with the media? I wouldn't say he was like a total dick, but like he had his issues with the media from reading articles on what he has said over the years, especially in San Francisco. But in regards to batting behind Barry Bonds, which, like I said, definitely helped his numbers. But here's my counter to that. You also have to factor in that during those years in San Francisco, as a right-handed hitter, he was playing in arguably the worst ballpark for hitters in the whole league, especially especially when you're trying to hit the ball the other way. It's still San Francisco is probably the worst ballpark for offensive players today because the wind's coming in like crazy.
Mhm.
And
Valid
but
point.
and I don't really think that has much to do with like I mean it is definitely a fair point saying that he benefited from batting behind Barry Bonds, but Lou Gehrig benefited from batting behind Babe Ruth.
That is true.
So like yeah, Manny Ramirez, I mean David Ortiz
Mhm.
benefited from batting behind Manny Ramirez. So
And I think there's a couple other things that are also in play. When Kent began on the ballot, it's a little bit different now, especially as we're looking at the 2025 ballot and the upcoming 2026 ballot that occurred. A writer can only vote for 10 players. That's it. Now,
yeah,
in theory, like, and I look at a guy, I guess like 15 years ago, a guy like John Franco, who I'm a big fan of, but it didn't work out well for him because the ballot was so loaded, especially with so many people. Right now, we're not seeing that anymore. Kent, when he began, had a loaded ballot, and then in what I believe, and I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know the Baseball Hall of Fame what they're thinking, but I do believe that they were looking to change it from 15 to 10 years to try to get the steroid guys off the ballot as quick as possible.
yeah, that's what. Yeah, I believe that too. I believe that too. Yeah, I mean, a couple years ago, Scott Rolen started off on his first year of the ballot at 10%, and he eventually got in on his sixth year at 75. I think.
Yeah, no, and that's actually a really good comparison. And I'm glad you brought up Roland because when I'm looking at Jeff Kent, Roland, just a lot of these infielders, just in some places, you're just in the right place, right time, or the wrong place, wrong time. And I
Yeah,
wonder when I'm looking at Kent too, who made a seismic, that's the wrong word, but a significant jump on year 90, year 10 to the mid 40s. Although I wonder how many people sort of like made that jump because it was his last ballot, which it wasn't necessarily supposed to be.
yeah. Honestly, I for the this is I picked Jeff Kent because for the life of me, like looking at his numbers, I don't understand why he never got any support on the Hall of Fame. Like, I mean, you're looking at a guy like Chase Utley. He got more. He's only been on the ballot for 2 years, and he's been getting higher vote totals than Jeff Kent was on at the beginning. And I mean, if you look at Utley and Kent's numbers, Kent blows him away. But like I understand that there's a difference between being a first ballot Hall of Famer and not and just getting in a few years into your time on the ballot. But like it happens a lot. Like you don't start off like you need 75% to get in. So maybe there's a year you start off and you're like, like they don't get in on the first ballot, but you get like 35% of the vote. Then gradually the next year you get 55% and then 70%. They're like, nah, fourth year you're in. Like that happens a lot. But yeah, I mean, like I think that it's mind blowing that well, yeah, that's
No, and that's fair. I think also though too again like going with Utley though, Utley's first ballot had a lot less competitors than what Kent faced.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
I think we're sort of like playing a bit with that. We've also seen some sort of weird things like not that long ago, Ted Simmons was a one and done, and then on the veterans ballot he gets
Yeah.
in, which I like Ted Simmons.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but it's
Oh yeah.
an
Yeah.
interesting thing trying to understand every thought process. So I want to close with this. So let's say that you're in an elevator and then you got a 1 minute pitch to a Hall of Fame voter. Make that pitch.
Well, okay. Is the Hall of Famer? Is it on Jeff Kent?
Yeah, on
Like
Jeff
the
Kennedy.
guy?
Sorry, I should have
I'm
been
not
more
voting for
specific.
Kent, but like
Yeah,
I'm not voting for Kent. You got 60 seconds to tell me why.
yeah.
So I would say, listen, objectively look at his numbers year to year to year. And oh, you want to bring up he was a bad fielder. If you look at maybe it was in the beginning, but if you look at his year to year fielding totals, like his fielding percentages, you can tell that he got better defensively as the years go on. And
Mm-hmm. The
if
number.
you look at all time, second base, a premier position, he put up first baseman type numbers for like 8 to 10 years of his career in tough circumstances. And if you, I'm gonna leave you at this. Guy, second basemen that are in the Hall of Fame, like Craig Biggio, Roberto Alomar, uh, Ryan Sandberg, Joe Morgan, maybe. Like, if you look at year to year numbers, like batting average, hits, home runs, RBIs, like on base percentage, Kent's numbers are year on average are arguably better or at the same level as those guys are.
Okay. All right. I like that. Before we sort of like close this off, since I'm talking here for the first time, I want to gauge your reaction. What's your thoughts, your gut reaction to the 2025 ballot? Happy, unhappy?
What are we talking? The veterans ballot or the
The
writers
modern
ballot?
ballot. Because as we're recording this, we're about 4 or 5 days removed, where we've seen
Yeah,
Ichiro receive all votes but one.
yeah, that,
We don't
yeah.
know who,
Yeah.
which could
I
be
mean,
anything.
if you're to me part of if you're gonna cast a vote, I like whatever your ballot is. I think everybody who casts a vote should write a paper explaining why they voted that way. And like even the person who voted for Ichiro, like I wouldn't have a problem, you not voting. Just own it. But in regards to the next year's ballot, like Beltran's obviously gonna get in. Like he finished 70%, I believe. Like he's gonna get in next year. They wanted to punish him for a few years because of his involvement with the
They have.
Astros sign stealing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like Andrew Jones is gonna get in. I think he was a really good defensive center fielder, like 10 gold gloves. I don't think his offensive numbers are good enough because you
Really?
got guys
Okay.
that, because center field, you
Yeah.
got guys like Ty Cobb, Tris Speaker, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Ken Griffey Jr., like like those at center field Hall of Fame numbers, like his numbers are not comparable to those to guys that are in the Hall of Fame at his position offensively. Also, like if you look at his age 30 season on, his career basically fell off the map after he left Atlanta.
No,
So,
that's fair.
but I mean,
I don't
but do
agree
I think Andrew
completely, but I
Jones is
love
better
Andrew.
than Harold Baines? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come
Harold
on.
Baines has come up on this on these programs an awful lot.
Oh.
Who is somebody who
Hey, he's in the Hall of Fame.
I'm a personal like big fan of him. He seems like a phenomenal guy.
Yeah,
If he was my DH
yeah, exactly.
years, like he was for the White Sox, as a Jays fan, like I'd be thrilled.
You know what? I would sign up for his 285 hitter, 380 home runs. I would
Yeah,
sign up
yeah,
for that career in a tenth of a second. But
yeah.
come on, like he's not a Hall of Famer, but it's the writer's
I,
ballot.
yeah,
But
you got it on the
yeah,
veterans. Yeah,
leading
true.
Yeah, there's no newcomers that are going to be on the ballot next year that I think are Hall of Fame worthy for my vote. But who I would vote for on the ballot off the top of my head, probably this is for next year. Beltran, A-Rod, and Manny. Those are the guys that I would probably vote for on the top of my head, off the top of my head.
Okay. That could lead to another conversation another time. And I'm sure we're going to be doing this
Yeah,
again. So Robert,
I
thank you so
hope so.
much for making the time to do this. Uh,
No, glad to.
yeah. For everyone here
Yeah,
watching, listening, check out everything else here that we do at notinhallofame.com. Also, the
yeah.
United States Athletics Hall of Fame, where we're going to have some big news coming in the next month and a half or so. I think that's sort of how that's going to play out. Also, a lot of the lists or core lists, not in Hall of Fame, are going to be altered a lot, and I'll get there, guys. It's not a one man operation, but it's not far from that. So onward and upward here from the home office here in Seattle, where we're going to be in a year from now. I don't know, but it all works out. But
Yeah,
Robert,
no,
thank you so much for
I
making
appreciate
time.
it.
And
I appreciate it, Kirk.
yeah, no, I mean this is the conversations that I love.
Oh
So
yeah, I just honestly, I just love talking about the Hall of Fame and the history of baseball or any sports. Like, you
yeah,
give me a player, I want to talk about it. Thank you for having me, Kirk.
no, it's my pleasure. So as I always close off, wherever you are, wherever it may be, make today count because it never comes again. Take care, everyone.
Yep. Take care, Kirk. Thank you.